I want to get into construction. What do I need to do?
So if you want to get in construction, you have to look at, do you want to be the prime general contractor or do you want to be the subcontractor? Subcontractors are, for an example, electricians, plumbers, those that install the air condition, the drywall, the flooring, the roof, etc. So if you want to get into the general contracting space, you have to enter one of two ways. Either you come up through the trades and you qualify to take the exam based on your experience on projects. Meaning, I have worked on a project, we built the Chick-fil-A, and I gained the structural experience and the requirements that I need to know about building that type of structure. Then you take an examination. In Florida, the examination is about 2 days. So it's not for the faint at heart. It's not something everyone enters easily. But it's something, if you say that's what I definitely would like to do, that would be the route, depending on your state, because each state has different requirements. If you wanted to enter the subcontracting space, the easiest way is to begin to find work in others that are doing that work and partner with them so you can gain that experience. And once you gain that experience, you can then launch on your own. Because without the experience, you're going to do something, I hear in Atlanta this word, janky. So you don't want to start off doing things incorrectly or doing things that people are not going to like or not providing quality for the work that you're doing. So most people that come up through the trades, they either learn it from someone else or they were exposed to it some type of way, or maybe like myself, not only did I go to college for it, but when I bought my first home, I started remodeling my house. And so I started actually learning how to do certain things like tiling the floor and repairing the walls and all that. Those things I learned by doing it. And I think for those that like to do things themselves and use their hands, it's very easy to continue to develop those skills by, you can go to an apprenticeship program. There are apprenticeship programs that are out there for those that want to enter the trades. And that's really, really important to teach our children today, that there are opportunities out there that you can easily make $50,000, $60,000 right now just completing an apprenticeship program. Ironically, my oldest son, he just started his own low voltage company literally 6 months ago. So you have a guy that was working in the tech field and he was doing installations for his company. All of a sudden they said, hey, we like your style, we like the way you're doing things, how you deal with the customer. We need you to run a crew. So he started running the crew. Then after he continued to run the crew, he was able to bring on new people to help him complete the work. Then they said, oh, we want to pay you now to employ the crew. And he ended up starting his own company. So I didn't enter construction that way, he did. And I think there are multiple opportunities. And unfortunately, in our school systems, we're not teaching and not demonstrating how there are a vast array of opportunities in the construction. And it's not just laying bricks. Because most people, when they hear construction, that's the thing they think about. Not understanding my background and having gone through construction management, which teaches you how to estimate the project, teaches you about safety, teaches you about quality control, teaches you about how to manage all the parts and pieces and put it together.
So it's almost like learning how to put a deal together, right?
Absolutely.
Like somebody has a budget, somebody has what we call a floor number. Hey, they won't go lower than this. So you're like, okay, this is what needs to be in place for this deal to be profitable. This is what needs to be in place for the deal to even work.
Right.
So all those pieces from the people who are building it, you're not the one having to do all that. You're putting all the different people on the...
From A to Z. So if you had a concept, which this segues into my development company, which starts from the ground, even concept, if you just had a piece of land. But on the general contracting space, they take it from design, which is the blueprints, the drawings. Once the drawings are complete, they take those drawings and they actually put in place the materials, the labor to actually construct what was on those drawings.
I love it. So you've got a few different companies in the space, kind of corner the market. Tell me about some of the companies that you have run and kind of what does that look like?
Yeah, so of course, most people know me. Of the few companies that I have, most people know me for my construction company because I've had it the longest and I've scaled it the most. I've done, multiple 8 figures with that company. And so from there, I continued to grow and develop. And I always had a dream to actually develop land. And so I've been working on some development deals, whether it's what we call multifamily or assisted living facility, which is also known as senior living housing. So we've been working on some deals over the past couple of years to actually start developing land from the ground up. And so it ties right into my construction process. Since I was able to leverage relationships in the industry with designers, architects, people that help with the initial stages of construction, I was able to bring all of that in-house and be able to provide a service to an owner or a client that says, I have some land, I don't know what to do with it, so I'm able to do an evaluation. Because of my experience pricing projects, I'm able to put a budget or what we call a performer together, as you mentioned earlier, to allow them to see, can this number work for what I'm trying to do?
I love it. Bro, you are educating me so much, and I'm realizing all of you all that are in that are clients or in a circle, etc. I learned so much from y'all because some don't realize what I teach. In order to live a quality life, every day you have to go to school. The only thing you have to be able to assess is should you be a teacher or a student. Every day you go to school, but you have to be able to assess based on the room you're in, season you're in, moment you're in. Am I the teacher or the student? It tells you when to shut up, and it tells you when to speak up, right? It tells you when to shut up, when to speak up. So how do I grow? It's because I learn in every environment, when am I a teacher, when am I a student?
Wow.
And sometimes I'm both. In the space of what you're doing, bro, it sounds like you are an avid teacher and student, meaning you're learning things within your space, but you also are creating mentorship programs, things of that nature. And the only way to optimize learning is by doing.
Right.
So the highest level of learning is teaching.
Right.
It's not learning more.
Wow.
Highest level of learning is teaching. So how do you grow? By teaching. I like what you're doing because you have built some things, but now what made you turn backwards and say, I'm going to create a mentorship program to teach other people how to do what I do? So talk to me about what is your mentorship program and what are the things you're teaching in it?
Yeah, so I decided to start a mentorship program because I didn't see a lot of people like me doing it. And I felt that I was already helping people along the way, but it wasn't intentional. It was because they knew of me and they said, hey, Mike, I need help. And all of a sudden, after hearing you and saying how you can utilize your expertise and help other people, I found great purpose in that. I found that was part of my purpose. For years, I've desired to be a great leader, but most of all, a great teacher, and continue to show others everything that I've learned, everything that I've gone through, because somebody taught me. So that was really, really important to me, to give back. When I received my general contractor's license, it was only because a person that I had worked for signed off on my experience. And I feel like when somebody blesses you, you should pass it on. And so that's really, really important to me. So another piece of my mentorship program that I've launched is only because no one else was doing it. I had asked 4 different companies to launch, 4 different corporations to be specific, to launch a mentor protege program because I was a benefactor of the University of Florida's mentor protege program. So for instance, they said, hey, this is part of our diversity initiative. We want to provide opportunities, education, and create a path for diverse companies to be successful. And we want to encourage proteges to apply. I applied. I was able to get into the program. I learned a lot from my mentor, and I was like, this is a great program. More people in our community, BIPOC community, needs this type of program in order to be successful. This is what I noticed, Marcus, that was so important. Though I took the mentorship protege program and I was a participant, I learned a lot, I did not realize how much access it would get me with the decision makers at the University of Florida. So what occurred was, now they know me. So when I decided to now try to apply to receive or bid for one of their projects, now they know me. And so again, here's the word RFQ or RFP was placed out there, a request for a proposal for projects up to $2 million. I submitted on it. I submitted all of our qualifications that we had gained over the years through our K through 12, all of our, elementary, middle school, high school work. And they saw that and they accepted us, and we were awarded that. And I completed work for the University of Florida. My largest project for them was on their campus. It was around $2.6 million. And so I said, I have to tell other people, other corporations, how successful a program that is. It was simple, it was easy. And I shared it with 4 corporations for years. They didn't do it. And I heard a podcast, and on that podcast, they say, look around in your community. If no one else is doing it, if no one else is networking, you do it. And I just believe it was the Lord. I'm a man of faith, so I just believe it was the Lord said, Michael, if nobody else is going to do it, you do it. And I was struggling with my offer. And all of a sudden, it was like, you do it. And then I added the mentor protege with major corporations to my offer, which basically was a no-brainer.
What is the mentor protege? Like, what's that process? Yeah. What are you doing for them? So mentor protege is what?
So a mentor protege program is where a larger company or a larger entity will show a smaller company or smaller entity how to do certain things. So it can be broad, it can be specific. The entire intent is to cause the protege to learn from the mentor and not make the same mistakes so they can be more successful and sustainable. That's really, really important. I think in our industry, if you think about how most of us in our communities were reared, a lot of our success or our limitations could be based on how we were raised. So think about it that way. Some of us are fortunate that we made it out of bad environments, but everybody doesn't. So statistically, depending on how you were brought up is how you end up. Think about it the same way in your business. That's why it's so vital that we are exposed to those that have already gone and traveled that path, because it makes it easier for us to be successful and sustainable.
I love it. Here's what I want to do. I want to speak directly to people who are, so we talking to people, there's 3 different spots. Those who, why they mad? Because they are on the outside of the club, can't get in, right? Right. So people who are outside of the information you're talking about. We got to talk to them about how to get in there. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if a person is outside of the online space, I would have to introduce them to what is happening in the space. That there are people that are packaging their knowledge and sharing it with others being paid for it. That's outside the space. Inside of the space, strategy for those who aren't seeing results. And then those who are at the level you're at, like, hey, here is what else you might be missing. So we can go step by step. If we're talking to people that you could mentor, you could help, you could coach, that's outside of the space, if you're looking to get into the contracting space or into this, this is what you should do.
Yeah. So if you're outside of the contracting space currently, the best direction you should take is to find a mentor and find someone to learn from. For an example, I actually have a client currently that was a day trader and also focused on large investments for customers through a bank. She, knew that her husband liked to be in construction, but she was the brain and he was more the brawn. Like, he liked to do construction, but he wasn't going to run a business. She's very highly intelligent. She has high business acumen, investment banker. She had that background. She says, I want to be a general contractor so I can set my husband up. So this falls directly into this case. She doesn't have the experience. She doesn't have the license. And so she reached out to me, and we end up putting a mentor protege program together specifically for her. So now, as she's continued to grow and get smaller projects, I'm actually helping her, and she's working the job. So for instance, if she has a small remodel job, I'll help her even with the permit, and I'm overseeing the work for her. So she's in a position that she can still continue to grow, continue to see, continue to actually put her hands on the project and do the work while having the supervision in place from somebody that's done it before. So she's not making as many mistakes as she would if she was trying to do it on her own.
Love it. So if someone just got into it, and let's speak to two sides of it. You said there's two sides you can be on in the construction space. Mm-hmm. Let's speak to both. Person who's on the side that is an electrician, who's doing the drywall, this. If they're on that side trying to get to the other side, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so if you are on the trade contractor side, meaning you are doing electrical work, mechanical work, drywall work, concrete work, anything on the trade side, and you want to move to the general contracting space, the first thing you need to do, again, is continue to surround yourself around the right people. You need to be partnered with a general contractor. That's one thing I think is very beneficial. If you choose not to go the mentor protege route, you should think about doing a joint venture. Joint ventures are basically two companies coming together and forming a partnership. So that way you're able to leverage the information, the skills, everything that that general contractor has, and they bring it to the table, and you can bring your resources to the table as well. That would be the strategy.
I love it. So we spoke to those who are outside and trying to get into it, those who are on one side of it and trying to become a general contractor. If you're a general contractor, is there room to move up? Are there ways to get bigger deals? What should you do if you're already a general contractor?
Yes, if you're already a general contractor, but you're looking to continue to grow and expand, and maybe you feel like you're stuck, you're not able to move, what I found is that, matter of fact, I learned this from you, and I think you call it the money holes. You have to look for the money holes because there's always something in your business, you're just not seeing it. And that goes back to, again, something that you heavily teach. You have to have time as a CEO to think. If you're able to sit and think with it, the things, the opportunities are already around you, the relationships you already have, the resume that you already have, and how you can leverage your resume, your relationships, and the resources you already had to continue to expand. So for an example, as I mentioned earlier, we were in the K-12 space, meaning schools, primary, middle, high school, elementary. What we did, we built that resume showing the type of work we did. I teach this in my program, specifically how to leverage this. So for instance, say this building, there's a remodel, and we did the flooring, we did the HVAC, we did the ceilings. I'm placing that on the resume, and then I'm going to clients in different industries and saying, hey, I know you're a different industry, but we're doing the same work. So I'm leveraging my resume. And it's really important for contractors to diversify, even in markets. And so that's exactly what I did. I went from K through 12 to higher ed to aviation, which is airports, also into healthcare. Another example of looking for the money holes, I teach for contractors to leverage self-performing some type of work. Self-performing work means you will take on a trade and you will perform that work in-house. The difference between doing that and being a general contractor, you're able to make more money. General contractors, of course, you're stuck with the market. So if the market says we're paying a general contractor 6 to 10% of profit, That's pretty much it. But as a subcontractor, you can increase and enhance your profits sometimes up to 30-40% because you are a subcontractor doing that work, and that's what the market allows. And so I teach anyone that wants to continue to grow their company to try to find an area of business, a trade that you can self-perform. Maybe start out small, self-perform that trade, continue to grow it, then you'll find yourself doing more projects. That is exactly how we started doing hospital work. Not only did we do that, we expanded amongst the trades markets. We went from one trade to multiple trades. And so we would take all the smaller trades that contractors didn't want to deal with, and we packaged them together, and we grew our business and our strategy that way.
18 years. Biggest mistake you made over the 18 years?
Whew. The biggest mistake I've made over 18 years is keeping bad customers too long, and bad clients too long. That is the biggest mistake. A bad client will cost you everything in the construction industry. Whether it's slow payments, whether it's hard to deal with, whether they have stringent requirements. You know, the government space has a reputation for being hard to work for. I think some people talk about, oh yeah, go get your government contract. Well, however, it's harder to work for the government because they have so much paperwork and so much documentation to put in place. And if you add on top of that people with bad character, people that they work for a company or organization, corporation, is not there, so they really don't care about you. They just doing a job. And so I think discovering who likes you, because people do work with who they like, love, and trust. And I think for me, knowing that now, I would have made a lot of different decisions about my clients if I knew that ahead of time.
So here's my last question, because there's so much that you've done, accomplished, so many people that you've helped and are still helping, from your mentorship, your coaching programs, things you learn, how you're developing yourself, how you're growing. I hear what you've got wrong, but you're so humble, you never talk about yourself. What are those things that if you had to brag, that you got right? I've been able to do this, that helped me do this.
That's a good question, because I'm horrible at bragging on myself. So one of my claim to fame is an award that I won for the University of Florida. We go back to them again. University of Florida, me being a graduate, they have what's called the Gator 100. The Gator 100 is an award that they give to the fastest growing Gator alumni that basically submit for the award. In 2018, I ranked number one. So I was ranked the number one out of 100 of the fastest growing Gator alumni in the country. And then the next year, I ranked 10th, which is still good, because when I ranked first, I was over 400% over a 3-year period. So that to me holds weight, because in that year we broke and made history at the University of Florida, because the first rank and the second rank Gator alumni awardees were both African American. And I don't even know if it'll ever happen again. And so for me, coming through a college and a school that has such few African Americans, and to be able to have that historical point, and literally 3 weeks ago, someone that I know started working there, and they were like, hey, they still know you, they still remember your name. And I can say I can have a lot of accolades, there's a lot of things I can do even in our community, but to know that amongst people that don't look like me and you, that my name is there, that means a lot.
So let's wrap up with this. Of all the things that you have accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
all the things you've done, all the things you learned, if you had to speak to you 18 years ago, you would give yourself what advice? Hey, if you are just getting started, I would tell you to do what?
If I was speaking to myself 18 years ago, meaning I would be 31,
Well, go back to college.
or go back to college.
You in college.
If I had a, wow, what would I say in college? I would, if I had to go back to college and speak to my younger self, I would say, believe more in yourself, because you're not necessarily what people think you are. You're greater than that, and believe more in yourself and believe in the God that you serve, that you can do bigger. And I would encourage myself to dream bigger, and I would encourage myself to not shrink.
I love it. My brother Mike Young, he ain't gonna want me to say it, but I'm gonna say the number one commercial contractor, teaching other people how they too can get into the contracting space, begin to do business from a whole nother level. You do not have to just be in real estate, right?
No,
you can branch out and build a full conglomerate, from investing to developing properties, subdivisions, commercial, retail. As long as the earth remains, people will need land, and this the man you need to holler at if you're trying to get your foot in the door and expand and generate revenue. My man, Mike Young.
All right.